Are you living or merely surviving between distractions? Look around you. The notifications stacked like prison bars, the endless scroll that steals hours without memory, the constant switching between tasks that fractures attention until nothing remains whole. This is not a motivational speech. This is recognition of a mind under siege. If you feel this resonance, comment. Surviving or awakening. The choice itself begins the protocol. The city never sleeps, but you must. The Morning Stoic Protocol begins not with addition, but subtraction, removing what clouds judgment before attempting to build strength. Rain on concrete at 5 in the morning, your breath visible in cold air. This moment before the world demands reaction instead of response. Before your attention becomes currency for others to spend. If you need to reclaim command of your mind, write in the comments, "I take control." This is not declaration but decision. The first step in a sequence that transforms distraction into directed power. Between stimulus and response lies a space. In that space exists your freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you want. That is the child's definition that creates more chains. But freedom to choose what truly matters, to direct attention with precision, rather than allowing it to be stolen in fragments. The modern mind exists in perpetual division, scattered across devices, commitments, relationships, all competing for diminishing resources. The Morning Protocol rebuilds not through motivation, but through method. The systematic reclamation of what was always yours, but has been surrendered through unconscious habit. In your internal world today, is there more chaos or more silence? Write chaos or silence. What if the freedom you seek exists not in doing more, but in doing less, with intention? What if the control you pursue is precisely the prison preventing you from breathing? Consider how much mental energy evaporates in attempts to manage what cannot be managed, to predict what cannot be predicted, to perfect what cannot be perfected. The Stoic Protocol works not through enhancement, but through elimination, identifying and removing what creates noise rather than signal, what generates reaction rather than response, what produces anxiety rather than clarity. If any question pierces through your defenses, don't retreat. Comment which one, and continue. This acknowledgement itself begins to dismantle the architecture of distraction. This is not promise, but protocol. Not inspiration, but implementation. The path ahead requires no special talent, only the courage to face yourself without flinching, and the discipline to choose what serves your sovereignty rather than what maintains your captivity. Each morning presents the same fundamental choice. Will you direct your mind, or will your mind be directed? Will you determine where attention flows, or will it be determined for you? The Morning Stoic Protocol exists not as escape from reality, but as engagement with it on your terms, rather than on the terms imposed by technologies designed to capture and maintain your attention. If you're ready to enter this protocol, write simply, "I enter." Not as commitment to perfection, but as agreement to practice. Are you ready to hear something that might force you to change, or would you prefer to remain who the world has shaped you to be? Comment, ready or afraid. This question itself begins the training. The Morning Stoic Protocol requires not eagerness but honesty, not enthusiasm but clarity. The mind that seeks mastery over distraction must first acknowledge its current state without judgment or defense. This recognition, this unflinching self-assessment, creates the foundation upon which sovereignty can be built. Most remain captive to distraction, not through external force but through internal habit, through patterns of attention and reaction so familiar they have become invisible. The protocol works not through motivation but through recognition, through the deliberate illumination of what has remained in shadow. The first principle of the Morning Protocol manifests in your relationship to waking itself. Most begin the day in reaction rather than intention, reaching for devices before reaching for consciousness, responding to the world before establishing direction. This surrender ensures not productivity, but captivity, the immediate relinquishment of sovereignty before the day has even begun. The protocol transforms morning from passive transition to active creation, from unconscious drift to deliberate positioning. From what city and country are you watching now? Let's see how far this protocol is reaching. This question serves not mere curiosity, but connection, the recognition that this practice extends beyond individual experience to collective awakening. The third element reveals itself in your relationship to digital engagement. The untrained mind begins each day by opening doors to invasion, checking messages, scanning headlines, absorbing social feeds before establishing internal alignment. This approach ensures not preparation, but vulnerability. The systematic exposure to external agendas before internal priorities have been established. The Morning Protocol practices digital delay, the deliberate postponement of input until output has been determined. If you're willing to train your mind right, I train in silence. This declaration acknowledges that transformation occurs not through consumption of information, but through consistent practice, through the accumulated power of choices that prioritize sovereignty over stimulation. The fourth dimension concerns your relationship to space itself. How many times have you lost control? Trying to maintain control. When was the last time you heard silence before reacting? The physical environment shapes mental landscape more profoundly than most recognize. The Stoic Protocol begins with environmental design, the strategic creation of morning space that serves concentration rather than fragmentation. The neon lights reflected in rain puddles, the steam rising from the first cup, the deliberate positioning of body in space that precedes the positioning of mind in day. This arrangement, this conscious curation of first environment, creates not just aesthetic but architecture, not just setting but structure. Which habit most causes you to lose control over your attention? Comment with just one word: sleep, phone, anxiety, or ego. This identification serves not judgment, but recognition, the clear seeing that precedes deliberate change. The fifth principle manifests in your relationship to mental weather. The reactive mind begins each day at the mercy of internal conditions, allowing mood, energy, and thought patterns to determine direction rather than merely inform it. This surrender ensures not adaptability, but inconsistency, the continuous redirection of purpose based on transient states. The protocol practices mental meteorology, the capacity to observe internal weather without being determined by it, to acknowledge conditions without surrendering to them, to maintain direction regardless of momentary atmosphere. This practice transforms not just specific mornings, but fundamental orientation to existence, from externally directed to internally guided, from reactive to responsive, from conditioned to commanding. The sixth element concerns your relationship to attention itself. Most view attention as passive process rather than active choice, as what happens to awareness rather than what awareness deliberately creates. This view ensures continuous vulnerability to hijacking, the systematic redirection of mental energy toward what triggers rather than what matters. The Stoic Protocol practices attentional architecture, the deliberate construction of focus that prioritizes depth over breadth, signal over noise, essential over peripheral. What if the chaos of distraction isn't against you, but training you? This perspective transforms difficulties from obstacles to opportunities, from what prevents focus to what strengthens it through resistance. Right. I command my mind to seal this advancement. This declaration acknowledges that mastery emerges not through absence of challenge, but through transformed relationship to it. The seventh dimension of the Morning Stoic Protocol manifests in your relationship to ritual itself. Most begin each day through randomness, through varied timing, through inconsistent sequence, through unpredictable environment. This inconsistency ensures not freedom, but fragmentation, the continuous reconfiguration of mental architecture that prevents consolidated strength. The protocol practices morning consistency, not rigid uniformity, but recognizable rhythm, not inflexible routine, but reliable sequence. The cold metal edge of dawn, the city still sleeping while you build mental fortifications. This consistency transforms not just individual mornings, but cumulative capacity, the strength that emerges not through isolated effort, but through sustained practice. The eighth principle reveals itself in relationship to physical awakening. The body and mind exist not as separate entities, but as integrated system. Mental mastery requires physical foundation, the neurological stability that emerges from deliberate physical engagement before digital engagement. The protocol incorporates movement before information, the strategic activation of physical systems before exposure to data streams, the cold shower that recalibrates nervous system, the deliberate breathwork that establishes autonomic balance, the physical movement that directs blood flow to prefrontal regions. These practices serve not health alone but sovereignty, the capacity to maintain focus and choice regardless of circumstance. What physical practice, if implemented consistently each morning, would most rapidly strengthen your mental architecture? The ninth element concerns your relationship to sustenance itself. What enters the body shapes what enters the mind. Most begin the day with either nothing or stimulants, creating either deficit or dependency that shapes subsequent attention. The morning protocol practices deliberate nutrition, the strategic consumption that serves clarity rather than comfort, focus rather than familiarity. The protein that stabilizes blood glucose, the fats that fuel sustained cognition, the hydration that enables optimal neural transmission. These choices transform not just momentary energy, but sustained capacity, the ability to maintain concentration across extended periods rather than experiencing perpetual peaks and valleys of attention. How many times have you lost control, trying to maintain control? When was the last time you heard silence before reacting? The questions seek not immediate answer, but gradual revelation. The 10th dimension manifests in your relationship to planning itself. The reactive mind begins each day in response mode, addressing what appears rather than creating what matters. This approach ensures not productivity, but perpetual catching up, the continuous sensation of falling behind that drives anxiety and reactive behavior. The protocol practices intention before attention, the deliberate determination of priority before exposure to urgency. This practice transforms not just specific tasks, but fundamental orientation to time, from what must be responded to toward what must be created. From what city and country are you watching now? Let's see how far this protocol is reaching. This question acknowledges that transformation occurs not in isolation, but in community. That individual practice gains power when recognized as part of collective evolution. The 11th principle concerns your relationship to consumption itself. The distracted mind begins each day by ingesting news, social media, messages, content, before producing anything of value. This order ensures not preparation but pollution, the contamination of original thought with external influence before internal direction has been established. The Stoic protocol practices creation before consumption, the revolutionary act of generating output before permitting input, journal before feeds, thought before news, reflection before reaction. This sequence transforms not just individual mornings, but cumulative production. The capacity to develop original thought rather than merely responding to what has been consumed. Which habit most causes you to lose your morning sovereignty? Comment with just one word: sleep, phone, anxiety, or ego. This identification serves not judgment, but recognition. The 12th element reveals itself in relationship to time perception. Most experience morning as rush, as compressed space between waking and working, as transition rather than territory, as passage rather than practice. This perception ensures not presence, but absence, the continuous experience of not yet there that characterizes modern existence. The protocol practices temporal expansion, the deliberate slowing of perceived time through full engagement with each moment rather than anticipation of next moments. This engagement transforms morning from what must be gotten through to what can be fully inhabited. Right, I command my mind to seal this advancement. This declaration acknowledges that mastery emerges not through manipulation of clock time, but through transformation of experience time, through the revolutionary capacity to fully inhabit each moment rather than mentally rushing towards subsequent moments. The 13th dimension of the Morning Stoic Protocol manifests in your relationship to information consumption. The modern mind drowns in content, yet starves for wisdom, consuming endless data without integration, accumulating knowledge without implementation. collecting insights without transformation. This approach ensures not clarity but confusion, the perpetual state of knowing more while understanding less. The protocol practices deliberate restriction, the strategic limitation of morning input that enables deeper processing of what truly matters. The city lights fading as dawn breaks, the clarity that emerges not through addition, but through subtraction. Which habit most causes you to lose focus in the morning? Comment with just one word. Sleep, phone, anxiety, or ego. This identification serves not judgment, but recognition, the clear seeing that precedes deliberate change. The 14th principle reveals itself in relationship to resistance itself. Most attempt to eliminate morning obstacles, to avoid challenges, to circumvent difficulties. This avoidance ensures not progress, but stagnation, for growth occurs precisely through engagement with what impedes it. The protocol practices deliberate friction, the strategic embrace of resistance as necessary component of development, the weight that strengthens only through opposition, the mind that clarifies only through challenge, the focus that sharpens only through difficulty. What if the distractions that plague your mornings aren't against you, but training you? This perspective transforms obstacles from barriers to opportunities, from what prevents mastery to what enables it through necessary resistance. The 15th element concerns your relationship to mental bandwidth. Attention functions not as unlimited resource, but as finite capacity. The undisciplined mind attempts to process everything each morning, to track every variable, to maintain awareness of all possibilities. This attempt ensures not competence, but overload, the mental equivalent of circuit breaker tripping under excessive demand. The Stoic reset practices deliberate limitation, the strategic reduction of morning inputs that enables depth rather than breadth. This limitation transforms not just specific tasks, but fundamental relationship to attention, from scattered surface engagement to concentrated depth. If you're willing to train your mind, write, "I train in silence." This acknowledgement recognizes that transformation occurs not through passive consumption, but through active implementation. The 16th dimension manifests in your relationship to distraction itself. Most view distraction as enemy to be eliminated. The Stoic recognizes it as condition to be integrated. This recognition transforms relationship from perpetual warfare to strategic alliance, from constant battle against inevitable intrusion to deliberate incorporation of interruption into training. The protocol practices distraction inoculation, the strategic introduction of controlled disruption that builds capacity to maintain focus amid uncontrolled disruption. The notification allowed, but not immediately addressed. The thought acknowledged, but not immediately pursued. The urge recognized, but not immediately satisfied. These practices serve not perfection, but preparation, the development of mental immune system that maintains sovereignty regardless of exposure. The 17th principle concerns your relationship to the beginning itself. Most view morning as mere prelude, as preparation for the real day that follows, rather than as essential territory in itself. This perspective ensures not presence, but continuous anticipation, the perpetual orientation toward what comes next, rather than what exists now. The protocol practices beginning as practice, the revolutionary recognition that how you start determines not just subsequent hours, but fundamental relationship to all experience. How many times have you lost control of your day by surrendering the first hour? When was the last time you claimed the morning before the world claimed you? These questions seek not immediate answer, but gradual revelation, the slow unfurling of understanding that comes through lived experience rather than intellectual grasp. The 18th element reveals itself in relationship to identity itself. The untrained mind becomes what it experiences each morning. I am tired rather than I notice fatigue arising. I am anxious rather than I observe anxiety appearing. This identification with temporary states ensures continued captivity. For what you become, you cannot transcend. The protocol practices witnessing rather than embodying, the deliberate positioning of awareness as observer of morning phenomena rather than as the phenomena themselves. Write, I command my mind to seal this advancement. This declaration acknowledges that mastery emerges not through control of circumstance, but through command of attention, through the revolutionary choice to be fully present to what is rather than partially present to what was or might be. The 19th dimension of the Morning Stoic Protocol manifests in your relationship to completion itself. Most approach morning practices with either rigid perfectionism or casual inconsistency, either demanding flawless execution or permitting continuous exception. Both approaches ensure eventual abandonment rather than sustained practice. The protocol practices principled flexibility, the strategic balance between consistent structure and adaptive implementation, the framework that provides direction without imposing limitation, the sequence that offers guidance without requiring perfection. This balance transforms morning protocol from temporary intervention to sustainable practice, from what might be attempted to what can be maintained across seasons of life. What single element of morning routine, if protected regardless of circumstance, would most significantly enhance your capacity to master distraction? The 20th principle reveals itself in relationship to reactivity itself. The untrained mind begins each day in anticipatory defense, preparing for perceived threats, rehearsing potential responses, constructing elaborate scenarios before reality has even arrived. This anticipation ensures not preparation, but depletion, the exhaustion that comes from fighting battles that exist only in imagination. The Stoic Protocol practices morning neutrality, the deliberate suspension of both optimism and pessimism in favor of clear perception. Not as detachment, but as accuracy, the revolutionary capacity to see what actually exists rather than what mind projects. How much mental energy dissipates each morning in the desperate attempt to predict what cannot be predicted, to control what cannot be controlled, to eliminate what cannot be eliminated? What would change if this energy redirected toward what can actually be influenced? The 21st element concerns your relationship to scale itself. Most attempt transformation through dramatic intervention, through complete overhaul, through radical change, through immediate revolution. This approach ensures not progress, but abandonment, for what cannot be sustained cannot transform. The Morning Protocol practices microscopic advancement, the strategic implementation of changes so small they bypass resistance yet accumulate into significant transformation. Not 5-minute meditation, but 30-second breath focus. Not hour-long journal, but 3-sentence reflection. Not complete digital abstinence, but 5-minute delay. These implementations serve not immediate revolution, but eventual evolution, the sustainable development that emerges through accumulated small choices rather than unsustainable large ones. From what city and country are you watching now? Let's see how far this protocol is reaching. This recognition creates not just personal commitment, but collective momentum. The 22nd dimension manifests in your relationship to struggle itself. Most experience morning difficulty as failure, as evidence of inadequacy, as confirmation of incapacity, as proof of fundamental flaw. This interpretation creates not just suffering but abandonment, the continuous cycle of starting and stopping that characterizes modern approach to practice. The Stoic Protocol reframes struggle as necessity, as the essential friction that builds capacity rather than the optional suffering that indicates failure. Not as what should be eliminated, but as what must be engaged, not as what prevents progress, but as what enables it through resistance. This reframing transforms morning protocol from periodic attempt to continuous practice, from what succeeds only in optimal conditions to what persists regardless of circumstance. What would change if you viewed morning difficulty not as obstacle but as equipment? The 23rd principle concerns your relationship to implementation itself. Most consume information without application, collect knowledge without integration, accumulate wisdom without embodiment. This accumulation ensures not transformation, but stagnation, the illusion of progress created by intellectual acquisition without behavioral modification. The protocol practices immediate implementation, the deliberate application of insight to specific circumstance within 24 hours of recognition. This practice transforms knowledge from theoretical construct to lived experience, from what is known to what is embodied. What single insight from this protocol, if implemented tomorrow morning, would most significantly enhance your capacity to master distraction? The answer reveals not just preference but priority. Not what appeals to you, but what would most effectively forge the quality of mind you seek to develop. What changes within you if you truly apply what you're hearing? This question seeks not immediate answer, but lived response. Not concept, but embodiment of what has been recognized. The Morning Stoic Protocol works not through understanding, but through implementation, not through knowing, but through becoming. The path requires not heroic intervention, but humble consistency, the willingness to begin again and again and again, regardless of previous failure or success. What within you has begun to shift during this protocol? What clarity has emerged where distraction once ruled? Right. I command my mind to seal this advancement. The Stoic masters distraction, not through dramatic transformation, but through microscopic choices, through the accumulated power of mornings when sovereignty was chosen over submission, clarity over confusion, intention over impulse. What has changed in you, even if silently, since this video began? Notice the subtle shifts in your posture, the quality of your breath, the spaces between your thoughts that have widened almost imperceptibly. The morning protocol does not end with these words, but begins with your next dawn, with the deliberate positioning of attention that transforms distraction into direction. The training continues not through consumption, but through implementation, through the microscopic choices that accumulate into transformed mornings. If something awakened in you today, comment, "I awakened." This acknowledgement marks not completion but commencement, the first step in a practice that extends beyond words into lived experience. The rain that fell upon the city now glistens on awakening streets. The warrior who learned to breathe amidst distraction now stands centered in the eye of his own storm. The fire that once consumed now illuminates the path ahead with steady flame. These are not mere images, but reflections of what has always existed within you. The capacity for sovereignty regardless of circumstance, for clarity amidst confusion, for direction within chaos. When life tests your calm again, to what will you return? This question accompanies you now, not as burden, but as compass, guiding you back to center when external forces inevitably pull toward periphery. Something within you has been realigned, not through addition, but through recognition of what was always present, yet rarely accessed. The pause between stimulus and response that contains your sovereignty. The space between waking and engagement where freedom resides. The awareness that remains unchanged while witnessing changing states. Control is not absence of emotion, it is the breath between one and another. Silence is not escape, it is mastery. The fire that once burned you now forges you. Choose one of these phrases as your mantra and comment which will be yours. This selection serves not mere preference, but anchoring, the deliberate installation of reminder that returns in moments of greatest challenge. The morning protocol functions not through perfection, but through practice, through the accumulated power of moments when presence was chosen over distraction, clarity over confusion, response over reaction. The sovereignty you seek emerges not through dramatic intervention, but through consistent implementation, through the revolutionary act of directing attention rather than having it directed. Right. I continue the protocol if you intend to return tomorrow to train your mind. This declaration acknowledges that transformation occurs not through isolated experience, but through sustained commitment, through the continuous choice to build what matters rather than constantly repairing what breaks. The city awakens around you, but something within remains untouched by its demands, a center of silence that exists not in opposition to noise, but within it. This center, this sovereignty, constitutes not escape from reality but engagement with it on your terms, rather than on terms imposed by technologies and systems designed to capture and disperse your attention. The world is noise, but within you there is command. This recognition transforms not just specific moments, but fundamental orientation to existence, from externally driven to internally guided, from reactive to responsive, from distracted to directed. From which city and country are you watching? Share not for engagement but as declaration of presence, as acknowledgement that this practice extends beyond individual experience to collective awakening. The Morning Protocol grows not through isolation, but through connection, through the recognition that individual sovereignty contributes to collective evolution. Like dawn light reflected in countless windows, each mind that awakens illuminates not just personal existence, but shared landscape. This community, this tribe of focused minds emerging across the world, creates not just accountability, but recognition. The profound understanding that you are not alone in this practice, that the mastery you seek is not isolated achievement, but shared evolution. That the path continues long after these words fade, in the silence of your next morning.